Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So it's been about a year since I've actually talked about this topic, and I said that I was going to create more projects, more videos, and write more letters on this topic, sort of like I guess like a series, so of diving deeper into my argument for this. Like I said, this argument isn't proof. It isn't proof. I don't think it's technically proven, but sometimes I have these ideas and I say to myself, hmm, I wonder if I practice this, that if it will actually work. And about a year ago, I talked about how abstinence from practicing abstinence from sex, how that act, the process of you practicing it, how it can help you with your creative energy and your imagination. And for me, it works when I do it, when I practice it, when I notice that I am more focused. I'm not so much on trying to chase. I'm not so much trying to please. I'm not so much trying to seek validation. I'm not seeing myself scrolling, swiping left or right on dating apps, trying to find something that can just give me fleeting pleasure in the moment. I've I've noticed that when I don't indulge in those things, that I'm more focused, more dark mode focused. This is why I created the term dark mode, the lexicon dark mode. And this is why I've created Gentle Beast. Also, Gentle Beast is a form of dark mode. Gentle Beast is just a culture. Gentle Beast really is the dark mode is the culture, is unisex for men and women. Gentle Beast is more for directly towards men, because when I mention Gentle Beast, it's more about for men, the culture that they can strictly practice, the culture that they could be. When I mention Gentle Beast for men, it is just when I mention Gentle Beast, it is specifically for men. It is not for women. It's for men. But the dark mode is a unisex. It's the type of culture that people can practice. I make these videos. I write about dark mode. I will probably just have a whole library, also on my website, of what dark mode is, the philosophy, the culture, the idea behind dark mode, what it means to be in dark mode. In a nutshell, dark mode is literally just, if I could just specifically, just in a simple way, just explain it to you, dark mode is just being hyper focused, intense concentration, and relentless commitment on the task at hand. No matter how long it's going to take you, you are going to be focused. It's just you in your project that you need to build. Whatever you want to create, whatever you want to build, it is that process. Think about the process that Kobe Bryant has to get into every single day. Waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning and just locked in, focused on the task, not even the task, the commitment, the relentless commitment, the dedication, the obsession, and just no distractions. Being in dark mode means you're no distractions. This is why I love wearing. This is one of the reasons why I love wearing black. My YouTube channel is black. Everything. It's not. I don't do black because I think it's cool. Well, I'm kind of lying. I do. That's why black is my favorite color. I just think black looks good in everything. But it's more deeper than also too. The philosophical reasoning behind why I wear black as well is because it just keeps me focused. It keeps me locked in. It keeps things simple. It keeps things luxurious. Like I said, black looks good in everything. And it just goes hand in hand with what I mean by dark mode. In Gentle Beast, it is dark mode. It's a form of dark mode, but like I said, it's just specifically men. It's just specifically for men. It's more about how men should move. Men and women they should move differently. They're two different sexes. I think they both can. I think the culture of dark mode they both can benefit from, but more. If I'm want to narrow it down a little bit towards one gender, sometimes me being a man, I don't know what it takes to be a woman. I'm not a woman, so sometimes I will have videos because I know the struggles that men have. I know some things that men face. I know the experiences, and so it's different. But So gentle beast is kind of it's kind of more of a revolutionized expansion of what people will think of being a gentleman. Gentleman. I think sometimes being a gentleman though sometimes can be a bit passive, and I've studied some ideas of where the term gentleman came from, and I've read some books on it, and because I just thought, I guess I'm a very curious person. I think about terms, I think about words, I think about where they came from, the origins of these terms, and I just like, where did the term gentleman come from? And then I started going down the little bit of loophole of, it's really reading and studying about it, and it's very interesting. But for me personally, it's just too passive. It's way too passive. It's like the nice guy type of thing, and we all know nice guy gets men nowhere, but walked on, and they got a modern day term for that. It's simp, simping out, and so it's a difference between being nice and being kind. You see what I'm saying? So that's what the gentle beast is. The gentle beast, they stand on principle. They are firm on principle, and they keep themselves in check. They're locked in. They're focused. They're disciplined, and most of all, they have self control. Self control is a very overlooked virtue, character trait, I guess you could say. People talk a lot about self discipline, but you got to have self control before you could even think about disciplining yourself. What do you think controls in what do you think is the prerequisite prior to self-discipline? So we have to really think heavily about self-control before we can do anything worthwhile, anything of value. We have to focus on we have to focus on having self-control. So that's my standpoint on that. So the gentle beast, the virtue of the gentle beast is self-control. The virtue of a dark warrior, hyper focus, intense concentration, relentless commitment, but most of all, self-control. We got to have self-control before we can do anything. Before we can lock in these become slaves to great habits, and remove the distractions. So think about that, and I can do videos on self-control if people are interested in it. I can write more about self-control, the difference between self-discipline and self-control. Sometimes people will use those terms interchangeably. Just like in the last video, what I mentioned about beliefs and faith, people will use those interchangeably, but they shouldn't be used simultaneously. There is slightly a difference, and it will really help us to move and behave in a different way and more effectively if we really dive a little deeper into these terms and really get a full deeper understanding of what these terms actually mean, the origins of these terms, going deeper. If we want to build something big, we have to dig deeper, a deeper foundation. We need a deep foundation. So I think about, if you ever want to discover how tall a building is, how you discover how tall a building is, the tallest buildings has the deeper foundations. So this is the foundation of what we want to, of the bigger dream, lifestyle, vision that I have for myself and that you will have for yourself. So the dark mode warrior, the gentle beast, we are in the trenches. We are experiencing life, daily habits, experiences. We all have different experiences. We all have different preferences, goals, everything, visions. And if we really want to do something really big, and we just shoot for the moon, and we want to be millionaires or billionaires, and for myself trillionaires, and we just have a huge conglomerate of company, businesses, prosperity. But at the end of the day, prosperity, freedom, peace, those are the wealth. Those are the things that us as people should be striving for, generational wealth. But it starts with yourself. I'm writing a book called Start With Self, and with us starting with ourselves, it starts with us digging that foundation, laying out the structure, having the standard, principles, core values. We are preaching it to ourselves, we are educating ourselves, and we are practicing every day on behaving this, and then we move out into the world and let the world experience how we behave and how we move, how we think, how we talk, how we act. That's our brand. I was talking to a lawyer yesterday, and me and the lawyer was talking about, the business that I've got going on, the philosophy that I'm writing and building. And he even mentioned, he said to himself, he said, one thing that a lot of people don't acknowledge or overlook is that your brand, everybody has a brand. Your brand is everything. It's the text message that you send out, the conversations that you have, where you shop, where you eat, what you eat, and what do you wear, how do you talk. Everything that you do is your brand. Your brand is your reputation. It is how the world views you and how people know of you. It's not so much about what you thinking up in here. It's how you behaving. What are your actions? That's your brand. So you have to really take in consideration of what that is. So just to go a tad bit deeper into abstinence and why I think practicing it is a powerful. You just don't practice it. You're not just practicing it just to be practicing it. So you're practicing it for a greater reason, for a greater result. You're practicing for a greater cause. Everything that I talk about on this channel, it is the bigger picture. It leads up to a bigger vision, a better lifestyle. Everything that I'm talking about is right now is structure, foundational, but it's an alignment with better. Everything that I am obsessed with better. I want every single video the next video that I post, I want it to be better than the last. I want my last article to be better than the last. So that's why I'm talking about this now, because I wanted to do another video on it. For about a year now, I said I was going to, and it will make us better creators. It'll make us have a better imagination. We just have that urge, have that temptation, and it's not just abstinence from sex. It's abstinence from anything that can be a distraction. If it's not adding value to us, we need to restrain from it. We cannot partake in it. We need to filter it out of our minds, filter it out of our spirits, filter it out of our hearts. We cannot indulge. Indulging is satanic, and satanic is not Satan. The evil does not have imagination, does not have creativity. So we have to practice how we can use our imaginations better and how we can use our creativity better. So in a world that is saturated with instant gratification, choosing abstinence isn't about denial. Understanding the gentle beast. The gentle beast embodies the balance between raw power and refined control. Is the archetype of a man who recognizes his innate desires but chooses to master them, redirecting that energy towards building, creating, and envisioning. The gentle beast doesn't suppress his urges, transmutes them. He doesn't chase fleeting pleasures, he builds lasting legacies. Abstinence isn't merely a moral choice, it's a strategic one. By conserving sexual energy, individuals can experience heightened focus, increased creativity, and deeper introspection. That sounds more like dark mode, yeah. Abstaining from sexual activities can lead to increased mental clarity, allowing for more profound creative expression. With increased focus, redirecting sexual energy can result in improved concentration and productivity. The power of imagination. When abstinence is practiced, the mind seeks alternative outlets for expression. This often leads to a surge in imaginative capabilities. Sexual energy, when not expended physically, fuels the mind's eye, painting vivid visions of possibilities yet to be realized. It's essential to clarify the abstinence isn't about viewing sex as negative. Instead, it's a recognizing its power and choosing when and how to engage with it. Abstinence can be a tool for mastery. By choosing when to engage sexually, individuals can harness that. They can harness that energy for personal development and creative pursuits. So, this is the gentle beast in action. Embracing the gentle beast means building, reflecting, connecting, building and channeling energy into projects, art, and visions. Reflecting, using solitude to understand oneself better. Connecting, forming deeper, more meaningful relationships based on mutual growth. So to all the creators, visionaries, and builders, Embrace the gentle beast within. Specifically. So, to my man that watches this, and really to everybody, to all the creators and visionaries and builders, but specifically for the men, the gentle beast. Embrace this. Embrace the gentle beast energy within. Let abstinence be your forge, your imagination, your tool, and your creativity for your legacy. But you do need to be reverent about what lives inside of you. So, this is a challenge. Become the man who turns his lust into legacy. Become the artist who turns his urges into innovation. Become the gentle beast who doesn't need to flex because his presence builds empires. Let me be clear before I close. We are not anti-sex. I mentioned earlier in this video, and I'm not only just talking about sex, I'm talking about abstinence from any activity that causes your worth, your value. If you can be doing something better, practice, I'm repeating myself, but I'm saying this in a different way. Opportunity cost. Have a mindset of opportunity cost. Everything comes with a cost. Everything comes with a cost. You can always be doing something better than what you are doing now. It is your job to figure that out, of what that better is. So think about that. When you become obsessed with that idea, with those thoughts, I could be doing something better. I could be doing something better. I could be doing something better. You are going to maybe start making better decisions. Even if you're at your daughter's graduation, you could be doing something better. I don't know what that is. That's your job to figure that out. I'm not saying that to go to your daughter's graduation. I'm not saying not to go to birthday parties. I'm not saying not to be attentive to your wife if you're at the dinner table and just be like, oh, I could be doing something better. Yes, in reality, you can't. There's always something better out there. Everything comes with a cost. That's scarcity. That's the reality of our life. What I am telling you though is that when you are spending that energy on the loved ones, and you are being more aware of that now, you are recognizing that now, you will be damned if you spend that energy on people who don't matter. That's the point. So, yes, sex is sacred, powerful, and it's beautiful, but in its rightful place. Same thing with everything else that you must participate in for your better self. When you give yourself to a woman, it should be with purpose. Mutual respect, shared vision, deep presence. Until then, we channel, we train, we focus, we concentrate, we build, we withhold to upgrade. If you felt this, don't just give it a nod, live it. Have this be ingrained in your culture. This is dark mode living. Make it a vow to yourself. No more wasting energy, no more pixel fantasies, no more validation chasing. Create, build, restrain, rise. Because the world needs more gentle beasts. The world needs more dark mode warriors. And the one inside you is ready to awaken. Thank you all so much for watching. I love you all, and we'll be back very soon.